What is going on? Great day to you. Good evening or good morning, my side of town to you. I hope this reaches you well. My name is Courtney Rollins. I am the host of the Life in Transitions YouTube channel as well as Facebook group. In the Life in Transitions Experts channel, we try to help families and people going through some of their biggest transitions in their life, particularly when someone passes away and there needs to be a probate or some type of, of, of solutions to some of the things that were left behind by the loved one. Um, I'm owner and operator of Estate Pro Service LLC, and we operate out of North Carolina. And I'm a probate specialist there. That's where I am able to help people make the probate process easier while helping them generate income and wealth through real estate. So today we're going to look at 10 questions that are commonly asked about probate in North Carolina, and hopefully these are one of the questions that you might have, and it may clear some things up. Now, I'm not an attorney, nor am I giving legal or financial advice to anyone. I'm just sharing my experience, and hopefully this experience can help folks. I see in the comment section, if you have any questions or comments, please let it be known. But I do see in the comment section a very special person, one of my uh, most supportive people who's known me all my life. My mama, happy birthday, mama. So we all wish my mom a happy birthday, if you will, please. And yes, so thanks for being on here, mom. If you got any questions or know anybody got any questions, let me know and I'll try my best to respond to them and answer them. So let's rock and roll. All right. So 10 questions, no particular order, that I hear quite often, and we'll try to address them as best we can. Number one. What is probate? All right, so what is probate and when is it necessary in North Carolina? Probate is the legal process of settling the affairs of someone who's passed away. If someone dies, and matter of fact, let me give you my correct information. I got a ticker on at the bottom. There we go. Courtney at estateproservice.com. Someone passes away with debt or with property assets in their name. There has to be a legal way to reconcile that. That is probate. All right. So a lot of people think that a will, when someone writes out their will and it's a valid will, that helps them avoid probate. No, in fact, the will has to go through probate. That's how you actually execute the wishes that the will dictates. There are legal instruments that I highly recommend that you research that helps you avoid probate. You want to avoid probate. If you're already here because you're involved in one, we can definitely get you. You can definitely get through it. But I also hope you consider ways that you can help your family avoid. Because really, it's like having a legal or civil lawsuit against your family once you pass. It's long, it can be very expensive, and it's public. Those are three main reasons people want to avoid. There's things like trust, which aren't just for the super wealthy, but living or revocable or irrevocable trust, making sure you have death beneficiaries lined up in your insurance and in your bank accounts and your retirement. All that stuff are ways that you can help bypass and avoid the probate process. But it is necessary when someone dies with property or assets in their name. And there are some things that, like, if they own less than $20,000 at the time after 2013, you may go through a small estate process, which is a little quicker than the large estate process. But still, if someone dies with something in their name or debt, there usually has to be a probate in North Carolina. Good question. Number two, how do I start the probate process? Quite often, you'll need a death certificate to be able to start. If there is a will available, you need to show a valid will, and you set up an appointment in the county of the person where the person reside, where the person lived, and that's where you'll start the probate process. Quite often, you can give a call and set up an appointment. Sometimes, if you know what you're doing, especially if you have an attorney, which you don't necessarily need one, but I highly recommend you do use an attorney. If you need referrals, reach out to me and I can connect you. But regardless, sometimes you can just have everything set up. For instance, I just bought a house from a young lady last month, and it was going to take them 2 months out because the state office was so busy for them to even set up an appointment for them to open it for her. So we just got the paperwork together, turned it in. Within 4 days, she had probate process open. So it's a matter of connecting yourself with folks who know the process or understand the process yourself, so you can get it done in a little and more smoothly, smoother. I don't know, it's smoother or smooth. Regardless, so you can get done quicker, right? What are responsibilities and duties of an executor or an administrator? You have a fiduciary responsibility to the estate. So you must, in good nature, goodwill, and serve the best interest of the estate. That means addressing creditors. That means making sure you get a good account of the inventory of the entire estate. That means notifying any person with a vested interest, that's heirs, stakeholders, and folks like that. That is your job, and you must do it in a timely fashion. The difference between an executor and administrator is an executor is executing the wishes of the last will and testament. The administrator, that means there wasn't a valid will in place, so they're administrating the estate based on the laws of North Carolina. All right. How long does the probate process typically take in North Carolina? Some can get done as soon as, well, it really depends how you say that. For a large estate, there's a thing called the notice to creditors that has to go out into a publication, to a newspaper, and that has to run for 4 weeks. So that's at least 4 weeks right there. And then creditors have 3 months afterwards, after that 4 weeks, to make any claims. So technically, I would assume 4 months is like tops. But there are some people who will be able to get it done quicker, just knowing that if some debts or something comes up, that they may have to reopen the estate, or if new money comes in, they may have to reopen the estate. But typically, it's going to take about 6 months, because it just takes that amount of time to gather all the inventory, address all the claims, and meet all the deadlines. Yeah, good question. I'm telling myself good question. These are questions that come up quite often. What assets are subject to probate in North Carolina? Now, this is a really good question. So, any personal property like jewelry, guns, all those things are subject. Bank accounts, vehicles, personal belongings, those are subject to probate. Now, there are some that you can put in that has owned with the right of survivorship or designated beneficiaries, that may bypass probate. Even real property like a house could bypass probate if you're not trying to sell it immediately. Um, but any personal property has to go through probate, or if the real property, when I'm talking about a house or land, is stated in the will that it has to go through, that is willed to the estate, then it has to go through probate. But yeah, so most personal property has to go through probate. All right. Are there any assets that can bypass the probate process? I just alluded to that or spoke to that specifically. Uh, Houses and real property in North Carolina don't necessarily have to go through the probate process. If you have payable on death bank accounts, they don't have to go through. If you have rights of survivorship on jointly owned property, don't necessarily have to go through. If you have beneficiaries named on specific assets like life insurance and retirement accounts, they don't have to always go through probate. But there are still reasons why a actual house or land would still need to probate to make the, if you're trying to sell it while probate is open, to make it go quicker. So yeah, just because not all of them have to go through doesn't mean that you won't need to under certain circumstances, specifically when it comes to property. All right, number 7. What are the key steps in administrating the estate? The key step is really as identifying who's going to be serve as the personal representative, which is another name for the executor if there's a will, or the administrator if there's not a will. So opening up the probate process, making sure you get an inventory of what's actually in the estate, and then notifying the creditors as the creditors' claims come in, addressing the debt, addressing the taxes also, and then distributing any leftover inheritance, making sure you have a final account of all that, and then you close the estate. That's pretty much the process right there. Um, yeah, so those are the key steps in the process. Number 8, how are debts and taxes handled during the probate process in North Carolina? Well, this is one of the reasons why it's really important to have an attorney, but the the executor or the personal representative is responsible for making sure that anyone who has a claim has a clear way of stating that claim, and that is usually going. That's called the notice to creditors. And the executor or administrator is responsible for paying the valid debts and taxes. And there is a hierarchy. So please, once the debts and stuff start coming in, don't start paying them one at a time or paying them off, because if the state doesn't have enough funds, there's priorities and hierarchies of who gets what percentage of what. And please, please, I encourage you to ask them if they could just forgive it, if they could just write it off, if they could just, so that the estate can keep more of the funds to go to heirs. A lot of folks will just simply write it off if the person's passed away, and it's happened more times than not. It rarely happens if you don't ask, though. So I would definitely encourage you to ask your state. Matter of factly, they may be able to reduce it dramatically or remove it, or they may still ask or expect payment, which in that case you can just take it based on if there is money in the estate, and at least you checked and asked, right? Closed mouths don't get fed. All right. Are there specific laws or regulations in North Carolina that executors and administrators should be aware of? Uh, yes. Sorry, I don't mean to sound cheeky right there, but yeah, the once you go and fill out the form, there should be a pamphlet that outlines, even the oath outlines is what your responsibilities are and what you're signing up for and what you could be held criminally liable for if you don't follow through. So that's why it's important to familiarize yourself with the probate code. You don't have to become a probate attorney, but definitely need to understand that. It's also highly encouraged that people do seek an attorney, even though you don't legally have to have one. It's highly encouraged. Um, Particularly for this last question, can someone be held liable or for mistakes that's made during the probate process? Yes, it is your responsibility to handle this properly. Any negligent behavior or breach of your fiduciary duties is taken very seriously. That's why it's so important to keep accurate records. Make sure that you're acting in the best interest of the estate and the beneficiaries, you open communication, and that you're seeking professional advice. That's highly recommended. All right. So there it is. Those are 10 common questions that receive quite often, and I hope they're helpful to you. Feel free to reach out to me specifically. I don't like that people are in these situations, but this is a part of life. But I do appreciate being able to help people when I can. So I really appreciate when folks reach out to me and see me as a resource, and I look forward to continue to do that. So reach out. If you have questions or something you want me to cover here, we can, or you want to just get on the phone and talk. I offer free conversations and consultations, and also you can reach me at Courtney@estateproservice.com or www.estateproservice.com, and we'll hop on a call, see if we might be a good fit to be a part of your journey and get this chapter closed so you can move on to the next part of your life. This is the LITE Life in Transitions Experts channel. LITE. Let your light shine.